This podcast is dedicated to Kickstarters that we're doing, sometimes in conjunction with nonprofit organizations, to raise money to help refugees. Our focus is on the long term. And by long term, we mean employment or restarting a business that was lost and psychological well-being. Immediate need is being addressed by larger organizations like the Red Cross. What we're going to talk about this episode, and perhaps for a few episodes, is a series of graphic novels that are illustrated, at least in part, but hopefully completely, by Ukrainian artists. And it's going to touch on some of the themes. Art has a great power for healing, and it has a great power for understanding. And the artists will explore, not maybe literally the war, although we may have one or two that are literally about the experience of a refugee or someone involved in the war. But we also want to explore some of the psychological issues, since therapy, and particularly art therapy, is a big focus of ours, and some of the revenue from Kickstarter projects like the series of graphic novels is to fund that. So you'll see in the show notes a link to the Kickstarter that's relevant to the episode, and like I said, right now it is the graphic novels. And so one of the phenomena that happens with people, whether they're going through a war or refugee situation or just regular life, they often take on one of three key masks, and we'll explore these through storytelling in the graphic novels. The first mask that we want to talk about is the power mask, and this is often what drives us to try to dominate or control things, prove that we are powerful, maybe by helping people, but also maybe by doing harm to people. And so if you look at in a war, clearly the power mask is operating largely. But then the fallout from the war, especially with children, is what's called the love or helpless mask. In other words, the strategy to get love is to take on a posture of being unable to handle it yourself, and that's how you get help. And these masks, they're not wrong. They're just strategies that we mistake for ourselves, and they're designed to cover up and avoid and prevent vulnerability and pain, which, during a war, you're really not maybe able to process that. Your emotions may have even shut off as it's happening. But also, if you're going through a difficult time, maybe you're going through a breakup, or you're a child and your parents are going through a breakup, it's very similar. You just may not feel like you have the capacity to feel the feelings. And so, as I said, you can take on the power mask and try to prove your worth, or come up with a plan, or come up with a solution. Often this drives people to be ambitious through their entire lives. It's not all bad. The love mask, which, as I said, you're just saying, I'm helpless and I need to create a connection with you by often a codependent relationship with someone who has a power mask. That's where you can help me. The third mask is the Serenity Mask, and that's pretending that everything is fine. And again, you may need to do that during strife. You may even find that you do it for an entire lifetime. But at a certain point, we want to notice it's a mask and take off the mask and be willing to feel those feelings that we suppress. That's how we can become a full human being, and that's how we can be at peace. So the graphic novels may touch on this, and it's not in a sense like you should see you have a mask and drop it. It can be much more artistic and much more subtle, but the idea is just to notice that there's a mask, there's a defense system coming up, and at some point, perhaps in the future when you're ready, you may want to take that off. So we're planting the seed for people to, whether they're going through a war or whether they're just going through life, that this mechanism is operating, and it's helpful to be aware of it and hopefully to transcend it. So we're going to keep these podcasts short because, like I said, we're going to churn through various Kickstarters. In the future, we're going to do one about online classes for coding. So we'll just keep varying it up. And as I said, the intention is for as much as possible, if not all, the providers of the rewards for the Kickstarter will be Ukrainian. I myself, my great-parents lived in Ukraine. And I started working on this before I even put two and two together. It's just something I haven't really thought about, but it creates a nice karmic circle for me that I am now attempting to help people who are in that country. And I think they need a lot of help. We may have 8 million refugees in Europe by the time you're hearing this. And I am hopeful that we can pull together to help these individuals to earn money and to get the healing on a psychological and even a spiritual level. So thank you for listening, and please stay tuned.